How's it going?
Yeah, I'm all good. How's your week?
Yeah, all good actually. Very much enjoying it. How about you?
Yeah, me too. We had a little bit of a wobble this week, just a kind of standard business thing that we'll
Yeah.
talk about in a bit more detail later, I'm sure. But that bounce back is always nice, isn't it? After you've had a day or two of sulking.
Yes, yeah. It's just funny because we always have it at the same time. I guess it's just part of life and being probably a woman, isn't it? You're like, oh, okay.
Oh, I hate everything again this week. How fun.
Yeah, you're like, oh good, I'm glad I get to feel this all again. Oh, brilliant.
Love
And
it.
actually, today we're gonna start off with something fun that we're gonna bring into every podcast as well, where we're gonna do a quick fire round of just like fun questions about the week and a bit more personal rather than always diving straight into it.
Mhm.
So we're gonna start with you and a quick fire round. So are you ready?
I'm ready. I'm in the hot seat. I'm ready to take on the quick fire questions.
These are very, very important questions, starting
Ooh.
with what are you watching, reading, or playing at this week?
Oh, do you know what? Reading nothing. I haven't read a book in ages. I read The Grapes of Wrath by John Steinbeck about 6 weeks ago, and it depressed me so much that I haven't picked up a book since. Uh, watching, honestly, I just keep finding myself like plonked in front of the telly at 9 p.m. watching the news. That might,
Oh,
explain
Jesus.
why I'm
This is not as fun as I thought, actually.
No. And then playing, I have re-picked up Zelda Tears of the Kingdom after a sort of
Oh,
extended break. So I'm going to try and give that another go because I love the first game so much. I really want to love the second one and I just don't. So I'm going to really try and get there with it.
that's what game is about, really pushing through that pain. Yeah, that sounds
Yeah.
like fun.
Yeah. Really like sucking all the fun out of it.
Yeah, that sounds like the adult thing to do. Well done. Next, so what meme can you not get enough of right now?
Ooh, the one that gets me every time is, like the black cat that's staring into space while a white one looks at it. It's like,
Yeah.
I absolutely love that. There was one that I saw that just killed me, and it was like me listening to my girlfriend explain that I'd be a mango if I was a fruit because I have mango vibes. And I've just haven't, mango vibes has become like a catchphrase in our house. I'm obsessed.
Mango vibes is pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I love that. I think that's a good one. What's your business bugbear of the week? So what is getting on your nerves?
So this is actually a bit of a personal one. This is actually more about myself and other people in business than it is about anyone else. But I realise that doesn't make sense. This is more. What I'm saying is I'm aiming it at myself more than other businesses.
Right, got
And
ya.
it is when people, particularly on Instagram and social media, are all business all the time, and they don't share anything personal, which is why we've decided to do this quick fire bit because I felt like we were being a bit all business all the time, and it wasn't
Robotic.
fun enough.
Yeah.
I wanted it to be a bit more fun, so that's my bugbear.
Yes, that is a very good one, actually. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
And finally, an inspiring or motivating lesson that you've taken from this week.
I think this week is on those days when it really is feeling overwhelming and it is feeling like too much and you're really like on the precipice. The best thing to do isn't to just try and tackle as many of those jobs on your to-do list as possible. The best thing to do is actually just step away for a day or a half day or whatever, and then you'll come back to it when you next come back to it and you'll realize it really wasn't all that bad. So that is my lesson.
I often find actually just go outside. I think that's often I forget, like I'm basically like a plant. I'm like, oh, I probably just need some sunlight and I just need to not be staring at a screen all the time.
Go and touch grass.
Yes, that's it, isn't it? Grounding or something, I think it's called. Oh, but that
we
is
all
good.
need it.
But
we all need it.
We do. I know, but it's hard when you work from a computer, though, isn't it? You just find you can spend hours there, isn't it? But
oh my god.
Well. But what are we going to be talking about today? The actual podcast.
So the actual podcast, now that we've got all the fun, fruity initial quick fire round out of the way. So the actual podcast today, we're going to be talking about how to sell your services through your website. So we're going to talk a little bit about why service pros need a website, why it's not just local businesses that need to have something online, why social media isn't always enough, and then we'll dive into like 5 of our favorite top tips for selling your services through your website.
Amazing. Okay, well let's just start then. So why is it then that we need a website? Oh, I think we get asked this quite a lot, I think, don't we, really? So
yeah, I think there's a lot of people who run a business that think that because they're not selling products, because they're selling their time and they're selling things that they do, that they don't need to have that online because there's nothing physical that they need to list or ship. When actually that's not what a website is for primarily. So if you're a service provider, the reason that you need a website is because it acts as like a storefront, a shop front for your brand, where you get to showcase your value, you get to showcase what you bring to the table, you get to speak to the people that you truly want to work with, and just create this really clear brand experience that people can find online.
Yeah, I think that's so key, the brand experience, and it's a part of the internet that is yours and it's for your business. You know, as much as social media platforms, I mean, one, you know, they change all the time. I know this is kind of going into why social media isn't enough, but they change all the time, and you cannot put all the information that your business needs onto it. You know, there's going to be so many questions, and you cannot get like really organic traffic. You know, those algorithms change, and they are vicious when they do change, to be honest with you. You're like, oh, okay, I've lost everyone.
We know it. Yeah.
Fabulous. Okay, cool. Well, that's probably not my best business strategy then, to be on this like ever-changing roller coaster, is it really?
Well, that's it. But, and you know, it's having a website means that you don't have to rely on only social media, but you get to be discoverable on search engines through good SEO. So it's a no-brainer, really.
Yeah. And I think we obviously talk about SEO quite a bit, but I think it's really key as well. It's unlike social media, it's something that once you have put the time and effort in, it will just keep ticking by itself, which you rarely get through businesses. Not many, like most of the other parts of marketing, you have to keep putting, you know, and putting so much work into email marketing, social media, kind of promotions, offers, all of those things. They have to be really driven by you. Whereas SEO, yes, does take some planning, and you do need to update your website, like with content, maybe like a blog or something. But once it's good, you know, it's good. It kind of keeps like plodding along by itself, which is just absolutely dreamy as a business owner, isn't it? Obviously, that's what you're wanting.
Yeah, exactly. And I think, you know, that leads us quite nicely onto the second point, which is, you know, it's not just local businesses, because this is about being discovered by people online searching for what you do, not just where you are. If you're an online service provider, the likelihood that you're operating only within your immediate local area is, I think, quite rare. The internet has opened us up massively. We all work nationally and globally now. So it makes no difference if you're not a local facing company, you still need to be online, so you can start hitting those keywords and getting discovered when people are doing their research.
Yeah. And it's also, especially for service-based businesses, it's great for showing, you know, case studies, showing who you've worked with, you know, and also showing your prices, which I know is kind of a bit controversial and everyone can be a bit scared of it. But you know, for us, we've always been fairly honest with it, because we don't want to waste someone else's time on a call if we're not well within their budget, you know. And I don't think you're turning people away. If people are scared of those prices, they're probably not your people, you know, not really your dream customer. You don't want to have that conversation where you're like, oh, you know, they were like, oh, I thought, you know, it was 50 quid. And you're like, oh, it's not. You know,
exactly.
It's a tricky one. So I think having that really clear, you know, is so key. Kind of going on to our next point again with social media, of course, it isn't set up for that. You know, even Facebook pages, you know, Instagram, all these things, they're not going to have, you know, there's not a section on there that has a list of your services, what's included, and, you know, and how much things cost. I know you can put posts up, but all of these things are time framed generally with social media, isn't it? As in, like, you know, after a few weeks, it's gone from the site. You know, you can pin stuff, I know, but you just don't have that
but only
control.
I know that you can pin things on Instagram, so you can pin 3 posts on Instagram, you can pin 1 on Facebook, you can pin maybe 2, I think, on others. So it's not going to be enough to get all of your information. And also, you're expecting a lot of your customer. If you're expecting them to trawl through like an Instagram feed or a Facebook profile to find the information that they want, when you could just have that in a clearly defined page on your own website with a helpful title and like an easy way to find it, Like, that's fine. People will research that information. They are not going to trawl through your Instagram profile. So
Yes, yeah, exactly that. And also I think there's a lot of authority as well with having a website. I mean, myself, even though I know like I get kind of services around the house and you know, DIY and those bits, but unless they have a website, you know, I just, you know, I feel a bit funny about kind of hiring them. You know, I don't really want to give this part, you know, I just would, it has that sense of like established and they're taking their business seriously, isn't
well,
it?
also,
You know?
I mean, you don't want to get scammed. It is as simple
Yeah,
as that.
yeah.
And when someone has a website, particularly one that looks professional, well made, it works well, you look at it and you think, okay, well, this isn't a person who is just making this all up and I'll transfer them some money and never hear from them again, because you feel like you have
Yes.
recourse. So it's really important to sort of look authentic, to look like you're, you know, a legitimate business who is reliable and trustworthy.
Yeah. And that's the other great thing as well with websites is that you can include reviews, and especially reviews from third parties such as like Trustpilot or like Google reviews. Nothing fills you with like just more safety than going, oh, okay, I can see that like a load of people have used them. They've all said it's good. And also this is not just them kind of putting their own text, because, you know, even that I'm like, is that true? But, you know, when it comes from that third party, you know, fantastic. You're like, well, you know, generally I can kind of trust it, isn't it? So I think all those things matter.
Absolutely. Yeah. And the only place where you can have all of those things easy and accessible is on your website. So that is why service providers absolutely do need a website. Even if you're putting it off, even if you're thinking, oh, well, all of my clients so far have come from Instagram, you are doing your business a disservice if you don't have a website. It's 2023 now. I think we can all agree the internet is here to stay. So it's time, baby. It's time to go online.
Yes, yeah, totally agree. So shall we go through our top tips then?
I think we should.
Good. Would you like to kick off?
I will. Thank you.
Oh, good.
So my top tip is the foundation of any successful website, really, which is you have to know your ideal customer. You have to know them inside and out. And we're not just talking about demographics here. We're not just talking about how old they are, what school they went to, where in the country they live. All of that is irrelevant. It's not irrelevant, but it's not as important as understanding their goals, understanding their intentions, understanding what it is that they're struggling with so you can help them overcome it. Your brand, your messaging, everything in your website needs to speak directly to that, to create that emotional connection if you're going to successfully sell services through your website.
Yeah.
So something that's really important, and we've talked about this a few times on social media and it always causes a bit of a stir, is do not focus too strongly on pain points. Don't just constantly hammer home those struggles.
Yes,
because you just sound like a negative Nelly and you just make people feel rubbish. You just make people feel like they're failing, when actually the best way to create that emotional connection is to big people up and say, like, I can see all of the amazing things you're trying to achieve. I can see that you're trying to get here, and I can see that this is your goal, and maybe you're getting stuck with this bit, but that's okay because we can help you get there. That is the kind of thing that you want to do, to really be speaking to those people and providing a really positive experience that people can't wait to buy.
Yeah, and I think that's key, that positive selling. I think people, it's obviously a lot easier to be like, you're struggling with this, you know, and I get what they're trying to do is saying I can help with it, but you know, people just don't want to be reminded of it. And unfortunately, especially when you're running a business, you're like, do you know what, I'm just not going to deal with that today, and you're just like, I'm just going to ignore that for now. So
absolutely,
I think that's key, definitely.
Yeah.
So my tip, now I don't know if you've ever heard me talk about this, maybe just a little bit, but it's obviously do your keyword research. Super fun.
She's going SEO, baby. Who could have thought?
Oh no, I know, as if like I've got nothing else to talk about, but I
mean, it's pretty important, babe. It's pretty important.
Oh, it is so important. I mean, it's definitely one of the mistakes that you and me made like early on in our business. You know, I think a real hard part as well is that assuming that your customers know the same words that you do. So you know, we obviously have it quite hard in ours because of the technical ramifications, you know, and I often have to like kind of sanity check, like, do people know what a script is, JavaScript is? If I say this, is it too complex? And it's like, yeah, no one's searching for that. No one will know what that means. You know, they're not sure if that's kind of what resonates with them. So I think knowing, you know, and that's why knowing your ideal customer is so important. But once you do know them, know what words they use, know the language that they like to use, like, and how they like to use it. What would they be looking for if they were looking for help or services? Definitely. A key way of doing that as well is you can look at your competition. So competitors' websites is a really good one. See what words they're using in their headings, in their pages. What are they naming their services? You know, so not necessarily to copy exactly, but so you understand what people are calling these things in the industry, even if maybe behind closed doors you're calling it another name. You know, for customer facing, what is it that the customer calls it? That is obviously easy for them to understand. You know, and you can use Google Keyword Planner is really good for that, where you can kind of put in terms and it will come up with other terms that people are searching for that maybe you might not have thought of, and you think, oh, I can definitely solve this, I wasn't calling it this thing. So yeah, I think that's so key. It's actually pretty easy to do once you get started. It doesn't really take that long, and I think it's missed by a lot of businesses, which is just such a shame, really.
Yeah, because there's that kind of, I think everyone in business is guilty of this. You kind of assume that other people know as much as you do about something.
Yes.
So there's a word within your industry that's really commonplace, and so you use that all the time, and then you realize that you're not talking to other web designers or SEO experts. So actually nobody knows what that word means, and
yeah,
people are searching for simpler terms. So yeah, really, really good point, mate. I love that.
Yeah.
All
And
right,
what's next?
so mine is another target audience one, because I just really think foundationally you cannot do too much work on this sort of stuff. It's so beneficial. So my next top tip for selling your services through your website is to make your customer the main character. So what I mean by that is take yourself out of the equation a little bit. We don't want to make your website as a service provider all about you, all about your experiences, all about what you can do, all about how great you are. People are intrinsically narcissistic, I suppose. We want, you know, we want to read things about us. We want to see things that reflect us. We don't want to read 15 pages of content about you. We don't even know you. So instead, by positioning your customer as that main focus of your website, you will keep the attention of them much longer and position yourself as like the perfect guide to their kind of heroic story. So I read all about this in a book called Building a Story Brand by Donald Miller, and it's my favorite marketing book that I've ever read. I highly recommend it. And he's got like a full walkthrough of how you do this. They call it you're the Sherpa and the customer is the hero, and how you make them feel that way. And it's just so insightful. And I think we pull a lot of those sort of things into our web design practice, and it really does work. So, you know, show them that you know who they are, that you care about them, that they are the hero of that story, and that you are just there to be a helping guide. And people love that.
They do. I remember, so this is years and years ago, I actually used to work in like a kind of a call center for EDF Energy and things like that, and it was like complaints and stuff. And the main thing that they really kind of drilled into us is that once you hear someone say what their complaints are, you repeat it back to them, and it's that they feel heard, they feel listened to. And I think it's so important for people. I know that when we have discovery calls, you know, like, what's your pain points? Okay, so this is what you're struggling with. And again, we would kind of repeat it back to say, just make sure we're on the same page and I'm understanding your problem. So yeah, I think it's that kind of nurturing rather than, well, I've got 10 years of experience, so I'm amazing, you know, which is easy to do because you almost think, oh, they'll want to hear that so they can trust me. But as you said, people actually just like to be about themselves, so which I do as well. So
yeah, exactly. It's just human psychology, and you know, you can still pick yourself up and still position yourself as like the best person to do that job, but you're the best person to help them do that job. You're not the winner, they are.
Awesome. Okay, point number 4 as we're whizzing through these. So it's using call to action wisely, which is something that we see kind of go amiss quite a lot, to be honest. So like a key thing is, like, on every web page, you really want some sort of call to action. Where are they going next in the user journey? What would you like them to do? But at the same time, you don't want this to be just website wide. Not every page on their website should be book now. You know, if they've come to your website onto your blog, you know, maybe they're just interested in trying to get a feel of who you are as a writer, rather than be like, oh, and instantly go for that selling of like, okay, book now or get a discovery call. You know, here's another blog that's similar to it. Here's the next blog. You know, build up that trust. It doesn't always need to be the same thing. You know, there's different pages for what the user is looking at, the content that they are interested in. And we should, like, you know, kind of change the call to action depending on what they're currently looking at. So yeah, so I think that one's really, really key, as well as we get this a lot as well for SEO reasons and for just usability reasons, is that your call to action text should be clear what it's doing, not like read more or work now or with me or contact. You know, I want to know, if I click that contact, you know, I think, you know, we've said it before, there's nothing worse than clicking a contact thinking it'll be a contact form or something to fill out or just a page about their details, and then suddenly it's like calling you and you're like, whoa, I didn't want to call, I just kind of wanted to know a bit more, like, how could I contact you? You know, so be really clear about what that action is going to do, or like, contact me now and it's a contact form, or like, you know, download this PDF. You know, being clear with what those next kind of steps are, especially in the text as well, which is it's one that we see all the time. And I think the other thing as well is, like, don't overcomplicate the journey. So, like, as much as I'm saying each page shouldn't go to the same place, you also don't want them to have multiple call to actions on that same page. You know, you don't want the book now in the header, and then I scroll down and there's the sign up for the newsletter, and then I scroll down and there's a download. That, what do you want me to do? What am I meant to do? There's so much going on here that I just, you know, it's confusing. I mean, it's confusing to kind of code up and make sure they're all clicking to the right places, but it's very confusing to the user about what they should be doing and what you'd like them to be doing to kind of progress that relationship that you have with them further.
Because the reality is that no one is going to land on a page of your website and like complete 3 or 4 different actions. They're going to do one thing. And so by having 4 or 5 different goals on a single page, you massively dilute the chances of them taking the right one. So that example that you gave of someone landing on a blog, I really love. And I'm going to, because my final point about this is similar-ish, and that is to really consider your user journey and make sure that you're helping your customers like make the most of your website, and so that you're not losing those relationships. Because like you said, the vast majority of people who are new to your business and land on your website are not going to book a service with you immediately. They're just not. They don't know you. You haven't built that relationship. So while it's important to have those kind of inquiry calls to actions throughout, make sure that people have other options. If somebody lands on a blog, instead of saying, hey, book a call with me, because it's very unlikely that they'll do that, why don't you link them up to a freebie so you can get them on your email list? Why don't you offer them some extra value, like you mentioned, like by leading them to a sort of similar podcast interview that you hosted, or, you know, another article that might sort of help them in the same vein. I think so many small business websites you go on have 3 or 4 pages, which is fine. You don't need to have an enormous website to do that. But every single button throughout those 3 or 4 pages is book a call with me, inquire now, book this service. And it's like, I get it. And I think, you know, it's clear, you can't fault them on that. But realistically, who is going to do that the first time that they ever land on your page? Particularly when we're talking about selling services that aren't cheap. We're not talking about selling like £15 audiobooks here. We're talking about, you know, probably hundreds of thousands of pounds. So
you need that trust. And I know there's like more marketing is they talk about, you know, funnels and kind of doing these things. And I think not necessarily funnels, but definitely that user journey. How can you build on that relationship? And again, going back to what you said, putting them into the main character seat, how can you help and give them, you know, what they're looking for? How can you provide content? How can you help them you keep helping them, eventually they will reach out to you and say, yeah, I want to work together, you know. So you've just got to work out how they've got to you, how you can help them, I think, isn't it, really?
Exactly. And
which can be tricky. Yeah.
But it all ties in. If you've done that foundational work that we were talking about at the beginning of the episode, and you know who your customer is, and you know what their goals are, and you know what they're trying to achieve, you can understand where you fit into that. And so you can continue to keep that relationship going by providing consistent value over time, and not just expecting people to just whip out their credit card, you know, because they've read 4 lines of your about page. It unfortunately doesn't work like that. How easy life would be if it did. So it's about keeping people in your world. That's what it's about. You know, we don't want to lose these people, because the reality is they might be interested. They might have shown up and they've gone, oh, actually, that sounds great. They're just not ready. So keeping that audience warm, keeping them in your world for as long as possible by providing them value. That is what is going to work over time, because as we all know, there are no quick or immediate fixes in the world of websites or in the world of business.
Yeah, very true. Very true. On those wise words.
So I think that's covered everything that we wanted to talk about today. So we've covered knowing your ideal customer, doing your correct keyword research.
Yes.
Making sure your ideal customer is the main character of your website and not yourself.
Yes.
Using your calls to actions and buttons wisely throughout your website. And making sure that you've got that user journey set up to perfection. So that is our 5 top tips for how to sell your services through your website.
Awesome. Very good. Yeah.
Before we go, do you have anything that you'd like to let our listeners know of this week?
Well, we have got a free Squarespace template that we are giving away. So if you're not quite sure and you don't have a website currently and you're kind of wanting to maybe test the waters or see how it would be, it's a 1-pager. So it's quite good if you haven't got a huge amount of content and you just need something there for now that you want to kind of explore. So yeah, we've got that kind of launching, and so many people have downloaded it. They're already live, which is just mental that they've already kind of got it up and running, which is really impressive to see, and they are loving it. So it's, you know, and keep reaching out to us if you have used it or any other our templates. We love seeing it, and we love sharing it with our community as well about how amazing these transformations are with these templates. Incredible.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. It's been an absolute journey watching so many of those free templates be downloaded and launched. It's just, and seeing how different they can look when people apply their own, and we know that anyway, we've been selling templates for ages, like we know the power of them. But I think, you know, having so many in quick succession go live and all feel like completely different web experiences is so exciting. So yeah, head to our website. You can see a tab at the top there called freebies, and you can download a free 1-page Squarespace website. And we hope that you do. And when you do, I hope that you message us about it and tell us how much you love it, so that we can see how it looks and share it with our lovely audience.
Awesome. Brilliant. Great. Well, thank you so much, babe. Yeah, and I will speak to you soon.
Another great episode. Thank you, my love. And I will catch you soon.
Yay. Bye.
Bye.